Hey, what's going on? It's the governor. Sitting here giving you some game straight from thinking with the big head. What we're talking about here in this piece that you'll be looking at is called A Woman's Curse. And what it's going to be based off is these two axioms that if you read at the beginning, we're going to start with what exactly is a curse? A curse is an offensive word that people say when they are angry, magical words that are said to cause trouble or bad luck for someone, or the condition that results when such words are said. A cause or trouble or bad luck. And then underneath that, the second axiom comes from um, a writer who was the writer of Heaven Has No Rage like it's like love turned hatred, hatred turned, nor hell a fury like a woman scorned. Now that we got that out the way, what are you talking about, Go? What is this curse and this, that, and the third, and hell have no fury like a woman scorned? How does this have any bearing on me or what may be going on in my life? What does this have to do with me in the game and all of this? Well, one of the things that I like to point out to people that when you operate in the physical world and you use your little head, there are consequences that come with those actions. And so let's say that you do something. All right. You get caught cheating on your girl. So you did something with the little head and you got caught up, and then you govern yourself shortly thereafterward with your little head. You continue to argue and you make the situation worse by saying things, whether you mean them or not. You say things and you've done things, and this person gets mad at you. Like to the point where like you blame this person, you've done this person wrong, and this and the third, and you have all these lies and excuses, and like like you conduct yourself in the little head when you get in an argument. So you yell, you scream, you like do stuff, and then you press your woman to the point where she curse you, where she starts effing you and calling you names and getting to the point where she's calling you a failure or wishing bad upon you or saying, "Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. You think that and you make me feel you're going to feel like this and I'm going to get you." Yo, she's going to get you. Like you have to understand that the acclamation of those words, as she says it one time, then you have an argument again, and she says it again, and she has an argument again, and she said these words and this energy just doesn't disappear. It doesn't just decimate. It like lingers higher up in the world. And so as you continue to do things with your little head and continue to make mistakes and you don't recognize them, just because you don't recognize them, ignorance is no excuse. You're doing things, they have real world consequences. You're getting the vagina, but Gov says, thinking with the big head says, vagina's not free. It's not free. So if it's not free and this woman is cursing me, she's calling me these names, she's saying, "I'm going to get you," and then I leave. Like, for whatever reason, I go about my business. I'm doing my thing. I'm going to work. I'm doing this and the third. What you need to realize is because of like you're playing a game where you when you're thinking with the little head, you're on this hunter sensation. So you're like, I'm doing things so that I can feel pleasure now, and so the cost really comes later. Like you don't grasp the cost now. So if you don't grasp the cost now, you get the sensation and you think, well, I got the sensation, I got the feeling, the doors are closed on that situation or interaction or that meeting or endeavor or act or whatever however you want to look at whatever it is that you did to get to the goal and you felt the sensation. If you did it with the little head and you did it with the hunter mentality, you got it quick, but then the price of it comes on the back end. So you pay for it later on, as compared to when you plant your seeds on a farmer, you kind of deal with the hardships now and you reap the benefits later. The harvest comes later. But you deal with the situation, the hard parts now. And so when you get the bounty, you understand that the bounty is paid for. There is no more work. I can just enjoy it. I can do whatever it is that I want to do with it because I planted the seed and now I got the harvest, instead of I went out and killed something. And like, okay, let's say I go out and I kill something as a hunter to eat. What if what I killed, its family comes back and kills me for killing it, one of its members, to feed myself? Like, or in the endeavor to get food, I had to do something, and so I got the food, but now I got to deal with this situation that I created to get the food. So now I got to pay the price for the food, even though I've already eaten it. So you have to pay the price for the nut that you've already got, instead of working towards to get the nut, paying for the nut beforehand. You got the nut on credit. And so now that you got the nut on credit, if you don't govern yourself accordingly, you could get hit with a woman's curse. And a woman's curse, like, is when you push that woman to the point where she no longer wants to internalize her mistakes and internalize your correction. She wants to now take the correction and put it on you and make you feel like you have made her feel, because you pushed her to that point, like her breaking point, to where it's no longer about reception. It's all about bestowal, and she's just going to bestow upon you all the hardness that you bestowed upon her. And so when you start to see shit you could like happening in your life and you don't understand, well, why is all of this stuff happening? What have I done so wrong? Oh, you done something. There's some people there that if you were to tell them what were going on in your life, those women would be laughing and being happy. They, gotcha, finally. I was just waiting for the day. It came back to get you. This is exactly what you did to me. This is exactly, I knew it. Yep. And they helped. It doesn't even matter. Like, if this person is on your team and you push them to this point, it doesn't even matter that the curse that they're going to bestow upon you, if they're with you when the curse comes to fruition, they're going to have to feel the consequences of the curse. It doesn't matter. They're willing to hurt themselves just to hurt you. They're at that point. You pushed them there. And you're going to have to deal with it. And so what are you saying, Gov? What are you trying to tell me then? Well, what I'm trying to tell you is, one, maybe if you look around, see what's going on in your life, you can figure out which woman you upset to the point where her curses are having an influence in your world, and fix it. If it's that baby mama, you need to fix that. Because all that heartache and pain and suffering that she has to go through when you're not around, because of some decisions that you had made, when she reaches that breaking point, that point, she's going to take all that shit out on you. And she's going to make sure you feel all that pain. She's going to bring up all that. It's going to come at you. And you're going to feel it. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking. When she come to court prepared, or when she take you to court, is she pulling out these things? Because that's all that curse driving her. That spirit that you put in her because you pushed her to that point. Like, those are curse words. Like, the words, like, there's multiple definitions of the word, but they're all centered around the same thing, and they're throwing them at you. And the more you accumulate this thing just throughout life, like you walk around talking about, I'd love for people to hate me. Well, when they hate you, that accumulation of that hate affects your life. It makes those battles even harder. It makes those, because you're like, where does this hardship come from? You create it. You create it when you do things, and people say those things. They're not just things that people say. So I'm gonna give you a prime example, Mr. Drug Dealers. If you're some dudes out there that you're watching this video and you sell drugs, weed men, crack men, or whatever, and you short those customers, those point twos and those point threes, and those customers curse you. They hate you. They wish that they had the things like that they could. They just hate you. When you cheat them and you do things to them, they hate you. And so when you face the man and you face situations for your consequences and just your actions, and you wonder why they gotta be so extreme, it's because all of this energy is pent up against you. All those people that you cheated, like you didn't think that because they didn't say nothing to you, but they cursed you. They cursed you. If you would have been listening and paying attention, it's always, you're so caught up in yourself and whatever, you don't see the signs, you don't see the facial expressions, you don't see certain things. And so because you don't see them, you don't recognize them, but you feel them. You do. Mm-hmm. You thought it was super duper sick to talk to your baby mama and she had to do this, that, and the third, and she told you and you ain't care. And then you wonder why she don't give a fuck about taking all your money. She don't give a fuck about you going to jail. She wants you to go to jail. She wants you. And you're like, damn, why do you want me to feel like this? Because you made her feel like that. And you pushed her to that point where she's just going to make your life hell. And what is, if somebody does, okay, if somebody sets out a movement with their words, okay, just think, your woman has this feeling in her mind, and she talks to a judge, she talks to a lawyer, she talks to a police officer, she talks to just people in general to do these things. She's using words. These words that she used must have power because it causes these people to do things that have direct effects on your life, and all of the effects are negative. So if she says words that causes people to do things, and these things that are done are affecting your life, it's just logic to say that these words are words of a curse. And you've been cursed. And what happens when these things come into effect? Do the curses have long-term effects? Do you always have to suffer because of this thing placed upon you by this woman? And how did you get there? This is important because at some point in time, you can either say, well, I've already made the mistake and I got this, that, and the third to deal with over here. Why do I need to listen to this? It's so that I don't make more mistakes, because guess what? As long as I'm living, I have to continue to play this game, and I have to recognize if I don't play this game with awareness, especially since I've seen this video and have been awakened, if I don't play this game with awareness, my consequences for my actions are going to hurt. They're going to hurt. Yeah, they're going to hurt. I mean, because I'm not doing good. I'm not doing better. I'm doing things that'll hurt me. I'm playing the game the wrong way. Instead of the women in my life bestowing blessings upon me and goodwill upon me, their driving force is hatred upon me. So eventually I'm going to feel that hatred. At least let me be aware of it. At least let me not be blind to where all these things are coming from in my life, because I know, because I made them, because it's my life, that's my universe. So if I could pinpoint maybe what's going on with this person and the situation that they've created in my life, then maybe I can figure out how I can fix it. And if I can figure out how to fix it, then I can go along with taking care of it. But I have to do, like, there's some recognition. And so I have to think, like, okay, if I think about the woman that I'm with, right? and she's crazy, right? She's crazy, and when I get her mad, what does she do when she's crazy? Are these things acceptable? And if they're not acceptable, I need to be mindful of how far I push her before she gets crazy, so I be mindful of that border. But I also need to be mindful of what she says and what it is that she threatens to do in these things when she reaches this point, because if I don't, I could feel the consequences, because they're no longer going to become words. They're going to become actions. They're going to become real. And if you look at the stories of like people in the past that like New Jack City, or like the dude from Scarface, or like things where women play integral parts, if the man is not mindful of the threats that the woman has, they come to fruition. So if you know this, then you need to stop short of getting those threats, or when those threats are put out there, you govern yourself accordingly to where that person rescinds those things. I said, I don't mean those things. Let me take those back. I don't mean that. I don't, because you have to make aware of them what they're saying, because there's a spirit in them, and that spirit will let them say some things that will be real, and you will be in that spirit because you feel it. You know it's engaging you, but thinking with the big head is that thing that comes over here and says, hold on, I gotta leave. I gotta hurry up and leave because I'm getting loud. Curse words are just coming out. The gov says I got to leave. So, but before I leave, if something is said too extreme, I gotta call a timeout. Timeout. Hold on, please. Don't say those things. We don't need those things to be said. If you're listen, you can say, man, I can't do that shit. Come on, man. Yo, listen, sir. If you can hit your woman, if you can push your woman, you can call your woman a bitch, a dumb slut. You can get drunk. You can mistreat her. If you can do all of those things, then you can do the opposite. You can take that energy and do something on the opposite level. You have to, because if not, then you're gonna continue to pay the same concept. You're gonna continue to do the same things, because all of that is operating in lower self. That's not big head. We operate in big head here. Big head. And so if you're making moves on the underground, you're making moves on the underground, you're making moves as like a dream chaser, or you're making moves like a businessman, you really need to be mindful of your moves with the women and making sure that you get blessings and not curses. Because in your endeavors, those curses can mean the difference between life and death, between freedom and imprisonment, between being wealthy and being in a state of poverty. Just that simple. All by the women that you deal with, and what they bestow upon you. Do they bestow blessing, or do they bestow curse? Because you're giving yourself to them. When you give them your penis, and when you give them your time, and when you give them your sperm, and you give them your energy, you give them you, they're going to give you something in return. And that return is either going to be a blessing or it's going to be a curse. And it's up to you to make the decision whether or not you're going to continue to give that person your physical self, and whether you leave that person in a state of blessing or in a state of curse, or whether you're going to work to have some intentions to make it better, because those curses are real. When you're in prison, there's a chick that's laughing. Ha 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 ha. Got you, nigga. Or got you, sir. Got you, motherfucker. Got you. And no, they do not feel bad. I'm telling you, they don't feel bad. They'll tell your mama they don't feel bad. I seen a woman tell a dude who was in jail for child support. They were at the courtroom. The dude, of course, he was in the back. And so the woman was in the courtroom with his mother. And you know what the girl said? I hope he go to jail. How could a woman feel like that towards a man who she has a child with? Well, he, thinking with a little head, tried to slut with her sisters. There's a cost for that, player. That's the cost. There's a cost to it. You're going to have to pay for it. And so here is your curse. Because when she found those things out and when you weren't around, you were at work and she was at home, you were out at the bar at night and she was mad and you left her in a state of madness and you didn't leave her with a state of a way that you could she could contemplate on figuring it out in a state of awe. You left her in a state of anger. And so in leaving her in this state of anger, guess what she gonna do? Pay you back. It's a curse. So, with that being said, I hope that this gives you some understanding. I also shared down here, if you look further down in the argument, a piece from Edward Case. This comes from quantumjumping.com. How cutting edge science proves you can create your own reality. And so the whole purpose of that link and that saying is, okay, when you and this is the once again, this is that Jacob understanding. If you continue to give yourself to a woman physically and sexually, you continue to give your seed to this woman, you plant something there. And this thing that you plant is not as easy to shed as you think it is, because you constantly gave it energy. You constantly gave it energy. And because you constantly gave it energy, the things that the reality that you begin to co-create with this individual, you have to think, how is it going to be created? And if these curses are in the air of the reality that you're co-creating with this person, then there's going to be consequences in your physical world because you're the creator of it. A prime example is when you pay child support and it comes out of your paycheck, it affects you every single day. Like, whether or not you think about it, whether or not this, that, and the third, you're at work, whether this, that, and the third, you have to pay it, it's due. And where does it stem from? It stems from this thing up here. And really, if you could figure out how to fix it, she could probably get rid of it, but you don't even know how and don't have the energy to figure out. So it just lingers up there. And so, what is that? That's that get back. That's that thing that you've been waiting for, that she was waiting for, that curse, that thing that she finally uses to get you to understand how you made her feel. And so what do I try to tell you about doing all of this, saying all of this, going through all of this? What am I pointing out? What am I saying? I am saying this. Don't treat her like that. Don't do those things. Don't think with the little head. Don't seek to get the sensation that a woman seeks to get when arguing. So you say things that you don't mean, then you do things that you shouldn't do, and then you have to pay for them, and there is no getting around it because you said it and you did it, so of course you got to pay for it. It's your world, it's your reality. And so if you get a woman who you give your seed to, and with your seed you give her your dream, and you only motivate her to help you get your dream, and she just lives for your dream, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a meaningful relationship that's going to grow with the passion that you love. And as you grow, your bond with her grow. And everything is like a challenge on another level that's good. If not, it's going to be a challenge on the physical level. And you're going to feel that shit. And that shit's going to fucking suck. Because you're not going to have nothing in common. You're not going to have nothing to even bring you to where you can be in this environment with this person for a long period of time because you're just so different. But you used your little head to make a connection with this person. You used your little head and you stuck it in the socket thinking that nothing was going to happen, and something happened. And now you know that something happens. If you continue to still stick it in the socket, you're going to continue to still pay for that shit. You know, so you can either get with the gov and figure out, yo, how I can switch this shit up, how I can make this woman at least not hate me and curse me and want my life to be bad. Because it doesn't help me help her at all. Like, I can't really do the maximum for her if I got all this restraint on me that she places upon me, but she only places this upon me because I've hurt her. So I got to make her feel better. I need to figure all this out. I don't know how to do it. Well, pay me to show you how to do it. Or you can continue to be so egoistic that you don't need me. You don't need this understanding that I got because I don't know what I'm talking about yet. Everything I'm talking about, you be seeing in your life. So I don't really know what else to say, but just be mindful of what it is that you do. Be mindful. Hey, listen, yo. Especially if if you consider yourself a trill man. I'm about to wrap this up. But if you consider yourself a trill man, if you consider yourself a G, if you consider yourself like something of a man, okay? At one day in life, you're gonna confront a judge for your actions. It could be anywhere at any time. It could be in law. It'll just be in nature, where you're gonna have to either stand up and say, "Yo, I did it," or "I didn't do it," and take the consequences. If you're not able to practice looking your woman in the face and telling her, "Yo, I did something," and deal with what it is that you did instead of trying to lie about it and make excuses about it and beat around the bush and say, like, if you can't do that, how could you ever be expected to stand up and say you did and take responsibility for anything? Like, your woman is the woman that you put your penis in. She's the woman that you probably live with or do everything with. If you can't stand up and be held accountable to your woman when you've done something, what in life can you be held accountable to? So fucking up with your woman is okay because you should be able to use it as a way to be able to practice being held accountable and dealing with the consequences and learning how to govern yourself where you can mitigate the consequences because it's still your world. But if you run from and lie and deceive, you only make everything worse. And you own every time you lie, every time you try to get away, or like, you only operate further and further and further and further down in the lower self. Every time you like try to use and solve things when you drink alcohol and make the problem worse, you're just following lower and lower self, making the situation and playing the game on just the most, not like the most basic of basic novice levels, because in the end you're just doing whatever. It's almost like you're almost playing the game like a baby picking up a joystick, because you're not being mindful or knowledgeable of what's going on the screen or what the controls are actually doing. You are like a kid. You just know that you're pushing some things and some things are happening on the TV and it excites you. So you're seeing women and you're saying things and your penis is getting hard and you're getting vagina, and that's all that you know that's going on. You don't know none of the other workings that are going on behind the scenes while you're going through this process. And because you don't know that, you don't understand why the things happen in your life. Why, when they happen, like, you end up making them worse. Like, you be in jail, and then you have a girl that's with you in jail, but then you choose to mess with another girl who's a side girl that you might even met while you were in jail, but was a side girl while you were on the streets. But this has an opportunity to make you and your girl bond better, but you choose to kinda, but you still choose this other shit, and then you end up fucking up everything and lose everything. You have no girl. Because the side chick only wanted you because you had a main chick. And the main chick wanted you because they thought that you were something, but you broke that distrust even though they were there for you at your worst time. Like you just do things and then you get cursed and things get worse for you. And then you know what they tell you? You deserve it. Like if you heard those things, if you were ever in a bad situation or you were worst off and a woman that you care for told you the words like you deserve it, that means you lost. Like you lost the game, you lost, you need to reset because you've reached a point where people no longer want good things to happen to you. They only want bad things to, and they believe that bad things should happen to you. Like even and so even when nothing bad happens, I mean even when you haven't done anything bad and then something is bestowed upon you and you don't understand why nobody, it's because all of this collective energy that you wasn't even aware of was built up against you. And so now you have to deal with it. But the quicker that you recognize that you did this, that it was things that you got from instant gratification that you had to pay for later that caused this situation to be what it is now, and for you to be where you are now, that causes you to feel this way, like is why the situation is the way it is right now. If it wasn't for you doing what it is that you did way back when, like just think about it. When you sell drugs, you're not worried about, and you're getting money and you're buying stuff and rings and cars, or you're a player and you're getting all the vagina and like you're not feeling bad. There's nothing that you're like I'm getting it in, but there's a cost to get it in. And if you didn't pay the cost beforehand, and you know what I mean, came up on it, like even if you go to a prostitute, if you go to the prostitute before you, if she's about her money and you're at a real prostitute, you're going to pay for the prostitute first. You're going to pay her first. You're going to pay for the fantasy first. You pay for it first. But if run your little slick job game and you call up that girl that you keep on the whim, and it's like that booty call and you're able to call her up and you meet her on the internet and you're able to do it real fast. Oh, all of those things, player, and you do it repetitiously, like you continue to feed. Okay, you plant a seed somewhere and you continue to feed it, and you got it out there on the limb. Oh, player. If you don't do the right thing with it, something's going to happen. If you're not doing right, then you're going to do wrong. And so when you do wrong, then what? You got to pay for it. She was a friend with benefits. All right, if you work, right? Let's think about it. If you get a job, you got to put in work, you got to do something, you got to pay with your work at work for your benefits and come out your check. Like when you say, well, I get benefits for my job, well, but you still got to pay for them. Okay, so if you're a friend with benefits, when you get these benefits, what type of friend are you being? If you're not being a good friend and you're getting these benefits, but you're not really paying for them. So if you're not really paying for the benefits and you're getting the benefits and you're not paying for them, then you're stealing the benefits. Like you're acting like you're gonna do something, but then you don't do it, and so you get the reward of what you say you're supposed to be doing to get the reward, but then you don't follow through with it, and you're 52 fake, and so now this person feels like you robbed them, and now they want to get you. What do they say? You stole my heart. You did these things to me. Like when they say those things when you're drunk or you're high, you're not paying attention. Those things are just because you don't pay attention to them, just because you don't listen to them, just because you're drunk and you don't care, or you're high and you forget. They're still real. So all that to say, a woman's curse is a mother. So be mindful. Think with the big head. If the situation is bad, don't make it worse. And if you can avoid making the situation bad, just walk away. If it's love or it's meant to be, it'll be right there. But just as I shared today, patience and time are more powerful than strength and armor. And so, with that being said, excuse me, I am wrong. Patience and time accomplish more than strength or anger. And that's from La Fontaine, 1668, to be correct. Just so I don't misquote myself, quoting someone else. So patience and time, if you walk away from a situation and if it's heated, it's not going to be worse than if you operated in your lower self and gave energy to a situation and made it worse. You can accomplish more with just being patient and letting the situation cool down with some time than if you fed it with strength and anger. So with all that being said, this is Thinking with the Big Head. This is Gov. If you want to get down with the life coach motivator, you wanna be able to say, hey Gov, I want to be able to have communication with you to help me overcome my, you know, lack. I want you to share. I want you to shine light on what's going on in my situation personally. You can contact me by texting 757-320-6647 or emailing vadagov@gmail.com. That's texting 757-320-6647. Just put attention life coach. Um, and we'll be contacting you, or vadagov at gmail. And it's for real. It's $50 for an hour. And the information that I give you comes right along with the information that you can find online, and it's applicable. Like if you reach the point where you understand that, yo, I'm going through life and things are happening and I don't know what to do. I don't have nobody here to tell me what to do. Well, there's somebody here to tell you. There's somebody here to shine a different perspective that will point you in a direction to say, hey, this may be a different way for me to look at it and start to address this situation. Because it's my reality. I can only know my reality. I can only change my reality. So what the Gov just does is shine a light on a new way of me looking at my reality. It's still my reality. Nothing changes. It's just me looking at it differently and me looking at it in a way that allows me to maneuver and change it. So, power up.